So one of the first things you need to get a hold of when you start building your thrift store audiophile system is an amplifier, or a receiver in this case. So I've got three here that I have purchased at thrift stores. So we'll start at this end here. This guy is a Sony, and the model number is STR DH130. This is actually a current product, or it was until fairly recently. These listed for about $150, and probably still buy them for that. This one I paid $5 for. So why would someone pay over $100 for something and then donate it to Goodwill, and they only sell it for $5? I don't know. Actually, I didn't get this at Goodwill. I got it at a smaller little independent thrift store, but it works. I mean, the only downside to this one is that it does not have a phono preamp built in, but it's got a lot of different inputs, and it's just a stereo only, so just a 2-channel. But you know, that's all we're looking for in our little audiophile system. And here's how you change, input selections and volume. About 90 watts per channel. Sounds pretty good. Okay, next guy up here is a Harman Kardon AVR20, and this is typically what you find at thrift stores is old 90s vintage AV receivers that people upgraded to the most modern AV receiver, which has HDMI inputs and everything else, which this doesn't have. So they get rid of these guys, and looks like I paid $15 for that. I don't know if you can read it. There's kind of glare on the label. That says 15 bucks. And this one does have a phono input. Has a great sound. This had some kind of problem with it when I first got it, and I've now forgotten what I had to do to get it running, but it wasn't anything major. And this is again a 5.1 channel AV receiver, but I'm only using 2 outputs, just the stereo outputs to it. So it's about 60 watts per channel, but great sound. Harman Kardon always had. Their electronics always had pretty decent sound, even when they started making stuff over in Asia. You can see here I've got a old vintage American-made Harman Kardon. That's a whole 25 watts per channel, but still sounds great. And then here's the holy grail of thrift store finds, an old Silverface Pioneer receiver. This is an SX650. What is it, 35 watts per channel. These things are gorgeous. Beautiful jeweled knobs. This one's working perfectly. Had to do a little bit of work, mostly just cleaning up the controls with some material, or a spray material called deoxit. Get into that a little bit later, but that's a product that you probably want to have around. I had to replace the lamps. They were all dim or burned out, but that was about all I had to do to this thing, and it sounds great. I think I paid $40 for $46, something like that, for this, but it came with a set of speakers, so I figure like 25 or so for this receiver. So a little example of what you can get. Actually, here's my everyday receiver. This is a Denon AV receiver. What model is that? ATR 3806, I think it says there. I have my glasses on, so I can't really tell. Now this thing, I looked it up, and this is from 2006, and it originally sold for $1,300. And I think I paid less than $20 for it. And of course it works perfectly. I didn't have to do anything to it. Here's that's what it sounds like. That's currently my everyday receiver. It's another thrift store find. And of course here's another one I use. That's actually out of a organ, con organ from 1964 that I paid $10 for, and I had to modify it for stereo use. But this is kind of beyond what we want to concentrate on. Really, you can get stuff straight from thrift stores, just like all these that work perfectly right out of the box, and for very cheap dollars.